Something that I really love about Tantra is the fact that it is a spiritual path that uses seemingly ordinary everyday experiences as portals into the divine, as ways of remembering who we are, where we came from, how we're all interconnected, reconnecting us to the universe, and how our love relationships, our pleasure, our connection with beloveds through the physical body is one of the most incredible portals that we have. So my guest here today is the wonderful Maria Sky, and some of you might know her. She's led a few classes here on Live Tantra before. So I'm going to
Mhm.
just add her in here.
Hello,
So,
hello.
oh, thank you for being
Ah,
here.
so good to be here with you guys. Nice to meet everyone. Hello, Shashi. How
Hello.
exciting.
Yeah, beautiful to see you there with your altar behind you. Do you want to just move aside? Let us see it. It's gorgeous. That's so
Yeah.
nice. Thank you for representing how you live. So, our conversation today is about the topic of surrender, which is a
Mm,
fantastic word. And before we kind of dive into like how do we get more surrender, let's talk about what surrender is, right? So, do you want to share a little bit about this beautiful word, Maria?
wow, this word is such a representation of a peak of the iceberg. It's just one word, but there is so much underneath it. It took me actually quite a while to really understand what surrender is and what surrender is not, especially on the spiritual path and studying yoga, meditation, tantra. Um, I think there are so many different layers diving deeper and deeper into this state. This is beautiful state. You want me to share how I see surrender and go right in the core, or
Yeah,
you
let's
just
go with
wanna?
that.
Right. Well, my biggest teacher of surrender is meditation, and how I see it, it's not an attitude that comes from the mind. It's a state of being, and to cultivate that state of being, I needed to practice a lot meditation and to observe myself where I am in a doing state. So yes, I was watching while I'm sitting still in stillness, what parts of me consciously and unconsciously creating contractions. And this comes from the ego. It can be physically manifested in my body, it can be mistrust coming from the mind, from the thought stream. So surrender for me, it's a state of being that comes from complete trust. And this trust is not so easy. For some people, it's easier to connect to that state of being. And for some, it's really challenging. I would say originally it has this essence of yinness, yin and yang.
Yeah.
And, and some people by nature more yin, so they can easier connect to that realms, while those who are very young and they've been like that all life, living in a city, running businesses, very controlling, very in a doing state, for them it's much more challenging. So
Yeah.
surrender comes from trust, and the trust is in the heart, and it comes when we feel safe.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's so important because I notice in the world of Tantra that, sometimes people, there's a longing for surrender. I think it's a very big longing we have. It's like when we surrender, we let go of tension, we let go of stress, we let go of the mind, we let go of worry, and we come into more relaxation, pleasure, bliss, peace, like all the things we long for can be there when we can surrender, right? But
Mhm.
we can't force it. And I notice sometimes in the world of Tantra that you hear people say, you should surrender, let go,
Mhm.
surrender, just surrender.
Mhm.
And nobody ever surrendered through force. As you
No,
say, it's about trust and it's about safety. And when those qualities are there, surrender
it
happens.
happens.
So
Yes.
surrender is the most incredible portal into these deeper states of being
Yes.
that we're longing
And
for.
pleasure.
And pleasure. That's another
Pleasure.
beautiful thing about it. I think we're wired. I think the reason surrender is so pleasurable is because we are wired for it, because it brings us home to our original state, right?
Right, and that openness, that complete letting go of holding, create just ability for energy to flow through our body with ease. All the nadis open, all the body opens, so energy can really flow. That's what brings pleasure.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Beautifully put. So, as we're talking about sexuality, although it's pointing to deeper layers of meditation and consciousness, we're looking
Mhm.
through the context of sexuality and touch and massage, and we're really looking at using our physical intimacy as a portal for surrender, right? So maybe
Mhm.
you could talk a little bit about the different. I know a lot of people confuse the word surrender
Yeah.
with the word submission. People say, kind of interchange that word, like, oh,
Mm.
I want to submit. It's not quite the same as surrender, right? Do you want to talk a little bit into that?
Yeah, they have several meeting similarities, but yes, I see it as well in a totally different way. Submitting, again, it kind of comes from the mind. It's the choice I submit, but it doesn't necessarily automatically brings this authentic surrender. You might be from the mind choosing to submit, but your body or your yoni is not ready yet. So you cannot just, as you said, force it, because safety takes time to cultivate that safety. Just that's the way our nervous system works. We can't press button and go unless we've been practicing this for many years and it's just available there. So also there is a uh, power dynamic between submission and dominance. It means that somebody is less powerful, or I wouldn't go too much in those details. It's a whole entire new topic, but there is one is who is holding the power and the other is submitting. While in surrender, there is no power dynamic. They can be both in their power while they are surrendering, because they are both opening to other states of consciousness and to mystery of what that state can bring.
Just to go back to this point, because that was a really great point you made, that like
Mhm.
when we submit, it can be through force, right? So you
Mhm.
can make someone submit. You gave the example, and just for those who are newer to Tantra, you gave the example of forcing the yoni. For those who are newer, that's the vagina. If somebody submits to sexual penetration, for example, then it's something that you're forcing and you're overriding the body wisdom. Whereas what you're saying is that when there's surrender, we are cultivating a space of trust and safety together, if we're with somebody else, so that we can naturally surrender, naturally open up. There's no force. We don't need to use power, therefore, to make someone open up. We're using instead trust to facilitate that opening. And I think this is so huge. I see it again and again that people kind of think that submission and surrender are the same, and they're so very, very different. And it's important to understand that. Not that there's anything wrong with exploring submission domination. It's got a whole, like you said, it's another chapter, but that it is very, very different. And what we really want to look at is this state of surrender.
I'll add little point that submission can include surrender if it's done with that level of awareness. It does not necessarily always automatically in a contraction, in a force. It can be with element of surrender, or it can be lacking that awareness, and it can be without.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Mm.
Beautifully said. And these are the nuances that we really want to understand
Mhm.
right through our intimacy, is to feel the difference, and that we can play with submission dominance if we want to, but like understanding how we want to use those as tools to facilitate surrender. And surrender is still that
Mhm.
deeper quality.
Mhm.
Amazing. So what are the things that stop people surrendering? Let's talk about that. Like, okay, people are listening going, yeah, that sounds great. I know I love to surrender. I'm dying to surrender more in bed because I feel more pleasure, but things are getting in the way. What kind of things get in the way and stop people from surrendering?
Well, I can share from my personal experience what was my journey. It's, of course, coming from the mind, busy mind, some overstimulation. Maybe you were all day busy at work, running through the subway, and you're still carrying that, vibration of the city. So the buzz of the mind versus stillness can be obstacle. Also, if we go deeper, there can be some memories stuck in the body. We can call them traumas or imprints, and they can, even if there is a willingness to surrender, there is a truth that there is an armor there that need to be um, met with awareness and love in order to pass through it, to release it, so we can go deeper into surrender. There can be all sorts of limiting beliefs, all sorts of can be just even environment, if it's too noisy or there is neighbor nearby and you just simply not feeling safe. The container is not very safe due to different elements that can cause contraction. So all these things can create contractions, and we cannot go in surrender with contraction, because surrender is opposite, it's an expansion.
Mm. Amazing. So you're mentioning the mind, and I think everybody knows that, like having things on your mind, having a to-do list to do, that gets in the way.
The
Mentioning
traumas.
you're mentioning past traumas, and that's another really important thing, that even if in your mind you don't know why you're not surrendering, there can be uh, things that are stored in the body. And you're mentioning
Right.
the setting as well, like the space that we're in may not be conducive towards surrender, because there's something actually unsafe that our body's picking up on. So
Yeah.
these are three major things for
Yeah.
people to resolve to surrender.
And the main the way we relate to our partner, where we at with each other, at the depths of intimacy, at the depths of trust, where are we in our relationship? That can be, if there are unresolved resentments, issues, that can be also an obstacle in our, that our body might be holding to protect themselves from being hurt, heartbroken. So the surrender would not be that available.
And I love that you bring up that point, because so often people want to isolate like sexual technique from the more psychological and
Mm.
emotional elements, but you can't
Mm.
ever separate it, because
No.
we are all human beings that have hearts, emotions,
Yeah.
needs. And so you can't just create sexual techniques and say, press this button and rub this thing and do the,
Mm.
without taking into account that a huge part of our sexuality is our emotional safety as well as our physical safety. So it's
Yeah.
important to take that into account. So
So
a bunch
many
of these things
elements.
you're really great with. As I listen to you talk about set and setting, one of the things I love about your work is how you work with ritual and creating sacred space, and
Mm.
the tantric massage training that you do. One of the things I love about it is just the sheer beauty of surroundings. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, like
Yeah.
how that's so important for surrender?
I would love to talk about that. Well, again, based on my personal experience, I'm triple run by Venus planet. I'm Taurus, Libra, Taurus. So for me, in every way you can imagine, senses are the gateways to either contraction or expansion.
Mm.
So I have to take care of every single sense to create this container where it feels comfortable, good temperature, nice lighting, because as we go deeper and deeper on our spiritual path with yoga, with meditation, with whatever modalities we use, we become so sensitive to everything, to light, to sound. And every little thing can either create contraction again or expansion. And I notice how my entire being is just relaxing when there is a candlelight, when there is nice smell, when there is beautiful music. And again, as a double Taurian woman, I really need things to be very slow, more slow than slow, like ultra slow. This is my key to safety. So I really take
And
time
I
for
think, as
it.
you point out, you're aware of it, and many people, as they become walk along the path, they feel more and more aware. But I actually think that even when people are unaware, their bodies still respond. They just haven't realized it
Yes.
yet, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
I've studied Feng Shui for a long time, and you know, I've created a lot of public spaces, cafes, workshops, and things like this. And I notice that if you have like harsh white lighting, loud music, you know, if you have a lot of overstimulation, everybody goes into an overstimulated mode, and then you're not
Right.
surrounded. And when you have like candlelight or soft lighting and soft furnishing, when you create the space, people, even who aren't that aware, will step in and be, ah, you know?
Ah,
So I think
yeah.
it's really important to become aware of that. I often think about like, I don't know, like back in the 1970s or whatever, there were movies of like kind of cheesy guy would bring a woman home and he'd dim the lights down and put on this kind of Barry White music or whatever. And it's kind of really cheesy, but it was like early
It
tantra,
works.
like the men that realized you got to help the woman to relax
Open up.
and surrender.
It's very different to how they show it now in Hollywood movies, where there is bright light, glass of alcohol, next second, cut. They're already in a bedroom, quickly, quickly removing everything. The next thing they wake up, it's already morning. This is like opposite of Tantra.
Absolutely. I'm right. And alcohol is like creates this false surrender. Alcohol and drugs are something a lot of people use to be like sexually open, but of course
Yeah,
it's a
no.
form of forcing surrender because we're not really making sure that safety is there. We're
Yeah,
using a
it's
substance.
numbing rather than synthesizing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so
yeah.
I think that's something that you're so great at is not only creating the
Mhm.
space but also rituals. So, and I know for some people like ritual is a bit of a like, ooh, you know, like, oh, isn't that a weird
Mm,
culty or spiritual thing that people can be uncomfortable with?
mhm.
And yet it's like people open up so profoundly with ritual. So do you want to talk a little bit about that other great passion of yours?
Yes.
Rituals, especially. I know there are many rituals that you do, but like rituals that
Mhm.
a couple can do before their intimacy.
Well, ritual is such a word. Yes, it indeed can create some contraction because of some conditioning from the past, if they associate it with something religious or something like that. So we can call it ritual, or we can just give it a different name, like bringing sacredness in our bedroom.
Mm.
And it can be absolutely anything. It doesn't have a specific structure, as long as there is intention to connect, to create deeper intimacy, to create a container where we can explore. Usually in Tantra, we always start every ritual with consecration, which is the a rule of thumb tantric exercise, right? So when we consecrate, we open the portal for unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. We might have a little structure or idea, but magic can suddenly start
Could
taking
you
you
just,
to
can I just pause you for a minute? Because I know
Mhm.
you and I were like, yeah, consecration, we do it every day, all day. But like, could you
What is consecration.
explain consecration? Because
Right.
there's a mixture of people here, and some people are like, what's that word even mean?
Well, it's very interesting. In my Tantra teacher training, they said this sentence and it really stick to me. If in White Tantra, if you don't consecrate, sublimate, and transmute, you don't practice Tantra. So these three pillars, I really keep it with me in everything I do, whether it's ritual or massage practice or any tantric exercise. Consecration is when we sit together and we make a prayer or intention, and we offer the fruits of this practice to something bigger, to divine, to supreme consciousness. And we open in the portal and we call in protection, so all the negative energies can go away, go back to source where they came from. We're letting them know from our sovereignty that they are not welcome if they're not serving love and expansion and healing. And we're calling in for support of those who love us unconditionally. And then you can bring in angels, masters, or even some teacher you specifically work with. And that's just a beginning of everything. We start every ritual with consecration. And there, once we open the portal, we also become available for spontaneity and magic, for flow take us wherever. We might have intention to have a very pleasant ritual, and suddenly we go in a process and emotions rise and we go through deep healing shadow work. This
But we
happens
can
so
trust
many
that,
times
right? Because we consecrated, and that's
because we
what, yeah,
consecrate it and we
yeah.
trust that we might think something is better for us, like the medicine is this today, but universe know better, and great spirit or supreme consciousness, call it that way. So we telling the universe that we trusting that what meant to happen today, what ready to happen today for the evolution of our soul is welcome, and then we just follow that, and then trans and
One, let
then
me just look, hang on, just pause a minute so we can,
mhm,
because these are new concepts for some people here. So
mhm,
consecration is like a prayer or an offering. Some people, the word prayer, like I
mhm,
just really want to make this wide for everyone. It's when we offer what we're about to do to the universe. And some
mhm,
people might use the word God. Other people might say, I'm offering this to the quantum field. Other people say, I offer this to Great Spirit. Other people, the universe, or to love itself,
mhm,
the source of love. And I think it's important that each person finds their way, that this can be really genuine for them, because there are many words really for one same thing. The
mhm,
consecration is different from just intention, because you might have the intention of like, let's have a tantric massage to like
mhm,
heal my difficulty with orgasm. Great. But consecration is really bigger than that, of like, I offer this tantric massage to the universe, to the well-being of all living beings, to the greater good. So we're really connecting to that that's bigger than us, and asking for blessings and guidance from that
mhm.
place. And
Integration.
this act of consecration is, I also learned that when I was learning tantra. This is what makes tantra. This is absolutely
Mhm,
essential. If we don't consecrate, if we don't offer it, we kind of can get stuck in the personal level, where we're just trying to have a better sex life, or
mhm,
which is all fine. But to really make it spiritual, we want to connect to being on a path of spiritual evolution and to the greater good of all living beings. We're tapping into this divine will, or the Dharma,
mhm.
if you want to call it that. So many words
Dharma.
for these things. I think it's important for people to find their own connection to these different concepts, um, but to also try it out and see how things change for them. For
Mhm,
myself, when I started consecrating lovemaking, it went from just fulfilling my personal needs and trying to have a nice pleasure experience, to really feeling my sexuality is sacred. The sexual
mm.
energy is an
Yeah.
offering to my higher self, to contributing towards being part of creating a better world, not harming anybody. This bigger picture suddenly comes into play. Even if you're
Mhm.
doing the same things, the tantric massage or
Mhm.
cooking, it's boom, it suddenly becomes so meaningful, so connected, and also so blessed. Miracles
Mhm.
happen, unexpected things can happen. uh,
Wow.
but it's all happening, pointing us in the right direction. And I think this is so important. And that's why I really wanted to highlight that you brought up consecration, because we
Mhm.
can spend a lot of time just trying to, we can even get stuck in trying to heal, right? Just trying to get rid
Mhm.
of one problem after the other. But if we bring in this spiritual dimension right from the word go with our tantra, it's going
Mhm.
to fast track us and bring us into
Mhm.
alignment much quicker,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Thank
So
you so much for clarifying this, Shashi. And it takes from personal to transpersonal, because there is purity of intention behind that. Whatever we're doing for benefit of all.
yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah.
And because if there's a shadow side to Tantra, which there is, but if there's a shadow side to
Always.
Tantra, it's when selfishness takes over and people start using the power of
Mm.
Tantra to fulfill their own needs without caring about trampling on other human hearts or hurting other
Mm.
people. Because you can become very powerful with all that Shakti energy and orgasmic energy and
Mm.
sexual power. But then
Mhm.
you're creating more karma, more harm in the world. So I think it's also super
Mm.
important, as we're becoming more powerful with Shakti in our bodies, with this Shakti
Mm.
being the orgasmic energy, the Kundalini energy, the life force energy. It's very powerful,
Mm.
but we
Yes.
need to be using that power
With
for
awareness.
the good. Otherwise,
Right.
we can create havoc with it. So I think that's important
Yeah.
as well.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you. And
let's talk about,
you mentioned word karma, and I just want to add one more sentence to it, because it's very important that consecration also helps us to not build karma. And
yes.
that's entire whole big topic, and we're not going to go in details,
But we'll
but
do another call
given
on that, right?
but this is huge. This is the one of the most important powers of consecration, not only to create protection and guidance, but also not to accumulate karma. So we give away whatever we generate, we give away to divine immediately.
Yeah.
This is so important.
So for anyone new to these words, because Maria and I love to chat about karma, dharma, consecration. those who are newer, who are just like, oh, I thought I was just going to learn a massage technique here. Dharma is like creating more suffering in the world. Like one way of looking at it is like,
Mhm.
are we creating more suffering for ourselves and others, or are
Mhm.
we contributing towards the
To healing,
transformation and evolution of this
transmutation.
world? Are we, which is
Right.
called Dharma? Like Dharma, in one way, you could think of as like creating heaven on earth. Like we all want to move towards living with more love, more harmony, more openness, just like manifesting heaven on earth. And there are so many temptations in this life that take us off track, or
Mhm.
even we're trying with good intentions, but we end up harming other people, hurting other people, getting caught in loops of
Mhm.
addiction and suffering. You know,
Mhm.
if we just follow pleasure, we could end up addicted to things and then we end up
Right.
suffering, right? So it's
Yeah.
not simple enough to just follow the pleasure. That's why we bring in the spiritual element of Tantra, so that we are really looking for evolving and
Transmutation.
contributing to heaven on
Mhm.
earth.
Mm. And that leads us to the next two pillars that very interconnect: sublimation and transmutation.
Yes.
Sublimation is when we generate all that sexual energy, but we're not staying in the lower chakras. We use it as a fuel to bring it in higher centers and ultimately to open the crown so we can go in a deep states in meditation to experience high states of consciousness. And that's how sexuality, massage, lovemaking becomes spiritual practice. And when sublimation happens, transmutation happens as a byproduct of it, or how to say, as a result of it. They come
Mhm.
together. So
Yeah.
these three main pillars, wherever we practice, create tantric experience, tantric practice.
So sublimation literally means like taking the heavier, denser sexual energy that like lives in like the genitals and the lower centers and drawing it up predominantly through the spine that can rise through the whole body, but the spine is like a
Mm,
super highway channel that we can
arrow.
direct our
Hmm.
energy. And this is called sublimation because the energy becomes more sublime, it becomes more
Hmm.
blissful,
Etheric.
more, so it's in Tantra, we're not trying to bypass sexual pleasure, but we also don't want to just get stuck in it down in
Stuff.
the genitals because there we
Hmm.
can just get kind of like a hungry ghost, like always looking for
Hmm.
more
More.
and never feeling fulfilled. Whereas if we take that sexual pleasure and then sublimate it, lift it up through the body, then it becomes it transforms, it transmutes, it
Hmm.
becomes like love when it reaches the heart, and it becomes bliss when it reaches the higher
Hmm.
centers. And if we can really raise it up to the crown and beyond, then it becomes a merging with the entire universe, which
Right.
is something I actually feel like every human being longs for. That I think that's why drugs are so popular and so addictive to people, is
Hmm.
because people are trying, or even alcohol, people are trying to get out of the little box of their
Hmm.
self-identity that they feel limited in, and merge with the
Hmm.
universe, but they don't know how. And Tantra
Right.
is saying this is how to do it without drugs and alcohol. You can just use your sexual energy and your orgasm and full body
Yeah.
orgasm. What a great
And your
way to
breath.
do that. Your
You can
breath.
just use your breath.
So this is
Yes.
what we want to surrender to, right? We're surrendering to allowing something bigger than us to flow through us,
Right.
surrendering to the flow of life and letting it back through us so that we can be brought home to that
Right.
connection.
Beautifully said. Brought back home. Yes. When there is an element of kind of ego death happening because the separation is again brought back into oneness. And that's what we're trying to cultivate with our partner when we're making love, or through tantric ritual or tantric practice. We are bringing two people, two energy bodies, two minds, two characters. We're bringing them back through the tools of Tantra, breath, movement, sound, into oneness again, so we can experience this empty mind, kind of ego death, and experience of oneness, non dual Tantra.
Mhm. So let's go. We go so profound, you and I. Let's go back down to faults. Like
Don't
people
we?
are thinking, okay, but how is this non-dual merging with the universe,
Mhm,
experience of oneness? How do we move from wanting to have some sexual pleasure to that?
mhm.
Let's talk about touch. Let's talk about
Right.
touch as a portal into this moment.
Yes.
So yeah, do you want to speak a little bit about how touch can be a
Yeah.
meditation?
Every sense can be a bridge into that oneness in Tantra. Touch is one of the senses, and through the touch, we can really experience so many different magical states. Um, Specifically, how can we, if we go back to the topic of how surrender um, in bed is possible through the touch, right? How do
Yeah.
we cultivate again this safety and through the conscious loving touch? And it actually we might put many complicated words to it, but it's very simple. We're actually going back to absolute simplicity of slowing down and bringing a lot of awareness in the touch. So in tantric massage, we experiment with different types of touches, and we see every human being is so different, and we see which one bring which result. Through touch we can create harm, and through touch we can bring healing. It's such a powerful tool.
Mhm.
So to cultivate this safety, to bring your partner after busy day at work, after traveling, um, into here and now, in this very present moment, touch can be a very beautiful tool to do that. And it doesn't even take that long. 10-15 minutes can bring huge difference to the nervous system and shift from fight and flight mode and stress into parasympathetic rest and digest, and can be a good preparation for taking it further, either in a practice or lovemaking.
So it's beautiful how you share. I often say, like, touch is always happening in this moment. So when
Mhm.
it's conscious enough, slow enough that we really feel it, then boom, we enter into this present moment. So it's actually such a profound portal to get
Right.
out of the busy mind and planning and to-do list and just arrive here now. And I think
Mhm.
what's so important is as you say, this needs to happen before we try to move into lovemaking or deeper levels. If we
Mhm.
skip the arriving in the body,
Mhm.
we can have sex without being present in it at all. And many people are, we call it dissociated, right? Many people just go
Yes.
through the action, but they're still in their head thinking about their to-do list. They're not really enjoying it. They're wondering when it's going to be over, or they have to go into fantasy to have any kind of
Stimulation.
enjoyment because the actual physical, they're not really in the physical body. So
Right.
touch is so important to really understand how to work with it and how to find the right touch and the right time with the right person, because like you say, there's different types of touch.
Everyone is different, right? And everybody has different needs. But
Yeah.
there is absolutely, for sure, one thing that works for everyone is just a loving presence transmitted through the touch in a very slow motion that
Yeah.
just take everyone. Just think of a child that mother hold and rock in her arms, and we have that memory. We have, all of us have that imprinted. That creates safety, that creates feeling of connection. So that is absolutely 100% something that will soothe nervous system of every single being and bring them in their body, like you said, out of the mind, in the body. Nothing can take you in a very present moment more than a feeling being touched in your body.
Mhm. I love that
Yeah.
you bring the metaphor of the mother because we're actually born looking for touch. We
Hmm.
come out of the womb and we're looking for that closeness with a parent holding us, and it brings an embodied sense of safety. And
Right.
many people don't
Container.
actually feel safe to be in the body, and they don't even realize. So
Hmm.
whenever we've been touched unconsciously, we've been under the influence of alcohol and drugs, we've even been abused or had rape, but there's so many times
Hmm.
we're touched and it doesn't feel safe. So we learn to not be present in the body.
Right.
And
To
then
be
we can't
out of the body.
exactly we can't really have beautiful embodied lovemaking experiences until we learn how to come back in. And through conscious touch, this is a way that we can learn. And we have, for those who are like listening and like, oh wow, that sounds amazing. We have a mini course by you, a master class on Live Tantra that goes through different types of touch. You designed it as a class for people coming home from work and after a busy day,
Mm.
for couples
Yes.
to connect through touch. So I just
Yes.
thought I'd mention that we have that for those that are interested, and we're offering it as a bonus. We're offering a free access to that for people who are joining um,
Yes.
your next tantric
With
massage
the
training. we have
It's a
coming up?
sweet and juicy collection. I really, really enjoy
And
this
so practical,
mini
I love that the
exercises.
videos are short enough for people to turn it on every day, to do a different one each day, to build up, because many people feel like they don't have so much time. And I love
Mhm.
how you made this masterclass. It's like just get home, put on the video. You will discover that you can drop into pleasure and connection, the things we yearn for the most. And there's no point having a great job and earning loads of money if you're not having pleasure and connection, because
Right.
the things of real value, right?
Yeah.
You can have all
Yeah.
the money in the world and feel lonely, isolated, and unfulfilled. So
Mm.
we really need to have our priorities around what really fulfills us as humans. Remember, we were
Yeah.
born looking for touch, and that
Yes.
never goes away.
Connection. Connection.
Connection, touch,
Yeah.
intimacy, these things
Love.
are so important. Love, exactly.
Yes.
The- you have so many great tools and tricks. You're a great facilitator of tantric massage. You said that you could show something to everybody here on the call today. So I'm wondering if we can have a little demo of you of how to bring somebody into a deeper state of surrender.
Yes. Yes. I'm happy to share today with all of you a little exercise that will be demonstrated here with my beautiful sister, Nati. I will call her in here right now in this room. And I will show you how very simple but very efficiently we can cultivate safety, connection, and trust with our partner. Either they're coming back from work or either they just watching TV and you felt inspired to invite them in a bedroom to connect. And yeah, my pleasure to share this with you.
That sounds really great and really valuable for people to, it's really that transition, isn't it? Out of the mental every day
Out of mental, in your
into the
body.
magical, blissful, tantric world.
Yes, come here. Here is my
And by the way,
little.
just to say to everyone tuning in, got lots of you here. Thank you for coming. If anyone has any questions as we're chatting away here, you can add them in the chat and I will also read them out to Maria. Okay, over to you. Hi,
Mhm.
everybody. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, this is Nati, my beautiful sister, and I'm very grateful to have her here as our model today. I invite you to close your eyes, Nati. Just take deep breath and start slowly arriving in this moment, in this body. As I'm watching her inhaling, I see her shoulders rising a little bit up. And on the exhale, they're dropping down. And I'm synchronizing my breath with hers already before even any contact. Just tuning in her field and her speed. I'm cultivating deep listening. It takes several seconds when we change our place to even fully arrive in a new place. So we are taking our time. We are not rushing. And I invite her on the next exhale to loosen up her jaw and maybe even to welcome some sound if it wants to come naturally. To be safe base, a holder for someone, I have to make sure I have very grounded posture, that I'm not arching my back or holding any tension myself. She will feel everything. We are energetically merging, so any contraction on my side will be transmitted. So I take care of my own relaxation. And then I start slowly on her inhale, bringing my hands to her shoulders. Synchronizing breaths together. I'm sending her somatically message. I'm here. I'm not putting any pressure. I'm just there. The sides of the shoulders are directly making her feel like I'm touching her heart. So this is already a feeling of container. And here I start inviting her like a little swings. On the inhale, go forward, and on the exhale, go back together. And each time she go back, I give her more space to lean. I slide my hands down and I wrap her around like this. Can take one hand to her head and create a nice support. And invite her to lean back. And watch slowly, slowly how she's taking her time to relax. Trust in her own time. Can place one hand on the shoulder, one on the back, and invite her to lean. And we can explore with different moves. It can be now swinging to the left and to the right. Can be little circles. And this will take her back in the memory, like that baby in mother arms, contained, loving presence, nothing to do, nowhere to be, very simple. You can caress gently, or you can just hold, but without any force, without grasping. There is no tension in the fingers. I'm holding her with my palms. This is very different feeling than when we hold with entire hand. And we can invite by giving an example to breathe deeper and make some sounds on the exhale all together. Make a little circle. It's so nice to take a pause from everything that we've been doing, planning, organizing, and just have a moment of simplicity, a moment of connection, a moment of intimacy. As a receiver, you invite her to be present and avoid dissociation, which means just to be relaxed but fully present in her body, with her breath. And my heart is touching the back of her heart, and they're having their dialogue, silent dialogue. We are connected in the heart chakra,
Mm.
and she will feel my loving presence, my intention to simply be there for her. Mm. Ah, sometimes you can even sing a little song if you feel inspired. When I give water sessions, I always sing a song, and either we're working on gravity on the earth or in water, we providing this loving presence for receiver can be transmuted through touch and through sound, your love, your vibration of love. We can whisper some nice, affirming, loving words. I'm here for you. I love you.
Mm.
You are safe. And
Just
the
watching
movement.
is giving such a transmission. I'm sure that
Mm,
other people can feel it too. It's like, ah, we all
ah,
feel how beautiful it is to be held by somebody else. And when someone
mm,
holds us fully, then surrender happens, right?
yeah. What we're doing, we're creating a container and circumstances for surrender to happen naturally. We're not creating surrender, we're creating the circumstances for that.
There's some comments coming in. I'm feeling it. Yeah, here come the comments. We're all in this together.
Mm.
We're in it
Yeah.
together, but I think we're also thinking, who can I go find to watch this video with? I am.
Y- You can place also another hand on her chest, and now she's like a sandwich. You know, from the back of her heart is my heart, and from the front of her heart, my hand. And that arm is on her shoulder, and there is another one on the shoulder. So she's feeling really contained. And
Mhm.
that's what babies long feeling safety from being contained with their mothers or fathers. So we create in that container, and only that container make it possible for surrender to happen. That she's held, she can drop all efforts, she can relax.
And so, this beautiful demo, would you go from here into massage, into lovemaking? Can we speak a little about this as uh, part of going into deeper intimacy?
Preparation, absolutely. It can be just a practice on its own, like a little moment when your husband is working on computer for several hours and you want to nurture him with a little bit, like bring him back in the body out of the head, and then little practice and he can go back again, continue working. Or it can be a preparation, absolutely, for tantric ritual, for massage, for love making. There is so much to do. There's so many opportunities. Depend every moment on the mood, on the time availability, on the readiness of both people.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
but yes, absolutely.
when I was first joining your tantric massage training, I joined it the first time around, and this was my favorite practice. Actually,
Mm.
I loved it, and
Oh,
I was quite like, okay, to my beloved. I was like, okay, we're gonna practice this course. I want to see how this course is. I was quite like this. And we put on the computer, and I was in kind of work mode, and he sat behind me and he started to like hold my body, and it was like everything dropped like and I was
mm,
like so ready for pleasure, for touch, for connection.
mm,
Completely changed the state of mind I was in. And
mhm,
then we went on through your videos into the touch, into the massage. I had such a great experience, and I was like, when we talk about foreplay in like mainstream world, it's always about arousal. But when we
Mm,
look at foreplay in the Tantra world, it's about dropping in, arriving in the body, getting more embodied, surrendering the
mm,
mind. These are the actual keys to
mm.
beautiful intimacy, to full body orgasm, to total body bliss, and to having a spiritual experience through sex or intimacy,
Absolutely.
instead of just looking at like this foreplay of arousal that's still so goal orientated and can actually make our bodies feel like, oh God, something has to happen, you know,
Totally.
and
We
being
will
pushed in this
say thank you so
direction.
much.
So I just absolutely love.
Thank you so much. How are you feeling? Super relaxed.
Ah, look at you,
Yes.
all soft.
Thank you so much for being here. Oh, just a second.
So
Can,
while you're getting your sound, can you hear?
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I said
So
thank you to Betty and let her go and integrate
I
and
think we could
maybe
just
go
sit and
into
watch it forever.
meditation.
But oh, we've got this sharing. I did it in a pool at a tantra festival a month ago. Totally wonderful. We need more men learning how to give this nurturing to us women too. We do, we do. Yes.
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
we
And it's so
bring this.
simple. Yes.
It's so simple, and it's just something that we're not taught, right? Like I said, we're taught to arouse, 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 arouse. But often, I find
Simulation.
that's the biggest thing when I work with couples with sexuality is if you start arousing before you're in the body, it's
Yeah. It's
it's
forcing.
there's a complete disconnect between the sex and you. It's like you can't be present,
Mhm.
you're not really there. We really need to anchor consciousness into the body and arrive fully and have this deep surrender before we start arousing and activating sexual energy. So
Absolutely. And I want to add something that I remember myself in my younger years. Very often I would go for sex when I was just longing for cuddles or intimacy. And because I did not know yet at that time how to ask for what I need, or I was not even connected to what I really want, I
mhm,
just, my soul was longing for something like this, to be hugged and rocked and eye gaze, for connection, for intimacy. But the only way I could get it is through going into full intercourse, full sexual experience. Many times I would break my own boundaries. Like you said, my body would not be ready, my nervous system would not be open yet. And I would feel even worse after lovemaking. I would feel why I'm not feeling that satisfaction from connection. So, of course, this is like in teenager times when I'm still learning about myself and sexuality in general. But very often, all we want is just a cuddle, just a touch, just a caress without developing it into anything further.
mhm. And I think even if we do, if we don't go through this connection and intimacy,
Hmm. Then it's not,
then we are faking or kind of faking the sexual
yeah.
part without really being present in it. Um, because this can, like you say, this can be an endpoint, this can be enough, this can be all the fulfillment, and it can be a portal through to the wildest sex, the most orgasmic,
Mm.
juicy, succulent, incredible sexual experience. But
Yeah.
we need that portal, we need that gateway. Otherwise,
And
we're
actually, it
faking
can
it.
happen very fast as well. Like you might be, the partner start moving fast and you're not ready. And then you have this moment of very slow connection. I notice with myself, I can be in completely one energy, not wanting to have too much fire. And suddenly that safety creates so much spaciousness and expansion. Then suddenly within 1 second, I'm ready for going completely full on, more than I could have imagined.
Exactly.
Isn't
I
it a
really had that when I
mystery?
was doing your video. I was like, okay, we'll try out this massage. I'm not really in the mood, but I
Yeah.
want to see this lighting. And then within moments, I was like, oh my God,
Yes.
I'm so ready
Take
to
me.
open up and be fully orgasmic and give me all the pleasure. Let's go, go, go. So
Yeah.
it's a wonderful portal. I realized we've already been talking for an hour, so let's talk a
Oh,
little bit.
wow.
I know we can talk for ages, and I'm already thinking let's do another call. But
Yeah.
let's just wrap up for here for now because people will
Mm-hmm.
need to go. Sharing a little bit. So I keep referring to your course, and I just want to tell people a little bit about what it is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got the comment. I feel so glad to hear all of this. It makes me feel normal. Yeah. You know, there's just
Oh.
like so much sexual information or like sexual education that it doesn't resonate with anybody's bodies. Like I'm working on a daily basis with sexuality with couples and with women. And it's like,
Mhm.
what we have been taught is making everybody have a kind of fake disembodied sexuality. The lucky ones
Mhm.
just happen to find something else. And it is really important for us. That's why I'm so passionate about tantric education, to
Mhm.
discover there are simple ways that give everybody a more fulfilling experience, and it's not like in the mainstream world. It's like, there's this idea men all want sex and women don't, and they put up with it. In the tantric world, women who are really bored into their bodies and into surrender, they can't get enough. The men can hardly keep up with them. So the education really is lacking around this topic.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, so just to say, if for those who want to go deeper with you, there's a bunch of ways they can. I already mentioned that you have a masterclass, but we're about to open up again for an intake for your incredible tantric massage class. I was so happy, thrilled to have done it last time. And
Mm.
this is for couples, and couples, by the way, can be any two people, any gender.
Mhm.
You might have been together for 20 years. You might have just met and decided you want to practice tantra together, but you need
Right.
a partner, right? Because like we just
Yes.
saw, we don't want to just sit and watch you having all the pleasure. We want to
To
watch it, and we want
experience.
to experience it with someone else. So if you want to join this training, when we say it's for couples, it means you need to be doing this with another person who you
Mm,
want to share tantric intimacy with. It's not
Right.
about necessarily penetrative sex. It is about, but it does include a lot of intimate massage, right? Do
I
you
Mhm.
want to
see.
talk a little bit about it?
Right. Well, this is my lifetime work, and I'm so happy to go
Mm,
for round two for another 6-week journey. And um, yes, it doesn't have to be opposite sex couple. It can be same sex couple. It's based on tantric massage. So tantric massage means yoni massage, lingam massage. There will be bunch of different massages with different intentions and beautiful practices. We have several models. We will start again slowly. We will build the sacredness and learn how to connect through the power of tantric rituals
mm,
first. Then there will
very
be
nice.
some anatomy and a little bit of education to understand what's going on in the anatomy of yoni and lingam. And it has a lot of information, this course. There will be like theories, and there will be demonstrations of the massages and then practices.
Can I
And we
just
will
say
go.
something about the practicality? So, having
Mhm.
gone through it, what I love about the way that this has been put together is that the demos are separate from the guided ones. So as a couple, you can sit and watch the demo class, and then you
Mhm.
go and set yourselves up in your bed, make your space, and then press play, and you've got the guided ones, which
Guided in
you're
a
actually giving each
lifetime.
other a massage through it. And the beautiful thing is you've recorded those so that people can do it more than once as well, right? So you can give it to your partner, and then tomorrow
Yes.
night they can give it back to you. You can watch the demo one night, do the massage another. Like people can work with their own timing. But there's
Adjust.
also a live aspect, right, where you're bringing the group, everybody who participates
Mhm.
comes together with you for a live coaching call, and you're doing several of those, right? Because I think this
Yeah.
is important when you're learning something, that you practice, but then questions are going to come. You're going to be like,
Right.
oh, how do I move the energy here? Or why there's a bit of a block going on, how do I move through
Mhm.
that block? We're having a struggle here. And so for those things, you create a live coaching call so that the couples can come and all chat together as a confidential space, and they can ask
Mhm.
questions, and you can help to guide them through their specific issues and blocks. And also,
Yeah.
I think something nice about that I saw from last time is that then many couples, they feel like, oh, we can't, something's going wrong, it's not working, and then they start talking together and like, oh, I had
We're
that
not
issue
alone. Yeah.
and we're not alone. And
Yeah.
it's not all about like the beautiful pleasurable perfection, it's also about hitting our roadblocks and working how to get through them, right?
Yes, we are in it together, and we go in as a group. and we're sharing, we're slowly building up trust as well. We're getting to know each other, and we go deep in vulnerability, in transparency. We're sharing our processes, we're sharing our challenges, we're going through questions and answers. We're sharing and celebrating our orgasmic energy, and overcoming some obstacles or insights and realizations. It's, I call it shamanic field, because tantric massage, it is kind of shamanic field, even especially after it's open field under consecration. Things will happen, and for sure guaranteed everybody will be going through processes. So I'm there for everyone, fully, in totality, devoted, and with a big honor, with loving presence. I know what they're going through. I've been there myself while I was studying these modalities with my ex-partner and practicing it for years. I think I went through almost every single process that possible to experience there. Um, so I'm there from my embodied experience to support with pure intention, with love, with non-judgmental presence, and to create a community, to get to know each other, to bond together, and to know that we are not alone. We're doing it together in this work, and we're offering it all for the collective healing, not
Yeah.
just for ourselves, but for the balance between feminine, masculine inside of us, outside, so we can bring harmony and balance to this planet Earth, so we can love each other harder, and we can be multi-orgasmic beings, because that's what by nature we are.
And so as we mentioned earlier about ritual, would it be okay with you if I offer anyone that signs up today that I can share your beautiful bath ritual as a
Yes, of
bonus?
course.
So then if
Please.
anybody feels called and wants to join the tantric massage course, I will send out an email straight after this, also on the Live Tantra community. I'll add a link in there so you can find everything. Um, and we will throw in the bathtub ritual and also the videos of coming home from work and touching each other, because I think that's such a
Yeah,
great masterclass. So
there
we'll
is a
throw
lot
those
of
in
nice gifts there.
yeah, I'll throw them in as bonuses so people can have the full package.
Yeah,
And then the massage training is starting at the end of this month. Are we in May? Yes, the end of this
20th,
month, right?
20th of May we start, and it's going to be 6 week journey. Yes, we're
Six
getting ready
weeks,
for that.
starting on
six
the
weeks
20th of May. So I
Yeah.
will post all of the links over in the community and send out an email. So I guess everybody who got here is on our mailing list. If you're not, then just go to community.livetantra.com. I'm typing it in now. You can
Yeah,
go to there and sign up, and there you'll find this event, and you can stay in touch with everything there. Just a
and the
little
community page is very useful and helpful, because that's also where we're going to stay in touch between calls during
yeah.
the whole 6 weeks. And I will be available almost at any time. I mean, not in the night when I sleep, but I will be always checking what's going on there and engaging with every comment, question, sharing. So
So
this is a
that, just to
beautiful
clarify, that's the
platform.
private group. So the community of Live Tantra is completely open and free and available to everyone. So you can all go on
Mhm.
there, and there you'll find all kinds of events, podcasts, videos, everything Tantra is there. We've also got some blog articles. You can really spend hours like looking through the community. And then, as well as that, we make a special private secret group
Private.
for
Mhm.
everybody who joins the massage training, which only has the people on the training in it.
Right.
And there is your
Confidential.
space where you can constantly post questions or feedback for Maria, and she will tune in regularly and answer them. So you're really going to
Yes.
be held through this training. You'll have the videos you can access in your own time, different things released each week. You'll have the live coaching calls. You'll have a space to go and put questions and have things
Mhm.
answered. And
And I want to add that
there's
to bring
just yeah.
to bring back to the topic of today, surrender, that this course will absolutely teach you through the power of tantric massage and touch, will train your body and nervous system how to let go of any contraction and holding, and to open up to this beautiful surrender so the divinity can come and you can radiate love and joy and manifest your dreams. When we're in that state of surrender and openness, we become very powerful manifestors.
Very magnetic to when we're in
Hmm.
alignment, then our life comes into alignment. I'm going to wrap up with
Hmm.
this question because I think we could talk for hours and I really want to honor everybody's time. Do you recommend the course at the stage when two people are trying to fix their relationship? So let's just briefly talk
Whew.
about how physical touch and intimacy can heal on a more psychological level.
Absolutely. I will definitely
What?
say it might be a right. It might be a right because everything unresolved is stays in our body, and as we will be bringing awareness through the touch, through the hand, through the finger, things will start popping up. If two people really love each other and have willingness to make it work, to transmute, to burn the karma, to transform the pain, the issues into like to sublimate from gross to etheric, to transform all that heaviness into pure love. Tantric massage and that containers that we will be creating that includes also conscious communication, sharing. There will be many different tools. There will be such an opportunity and potentiality for you to really meet each other in such an authentic, vulnerable way, and to communicate maybe things that hasn't been said before, hasn't been shared and been held in the body, in the throat, or maybe there are some issues. Sexuality usually a mirror of our relationship. If there are some unresolved issues, they will reflect in sexuality for sure. And as we are entering through sexuality, we go through the back door. As a relationship get affected through sexuality we can go back again into relating, into intimacy, into love. So absolutely. I hope that answers the question. Yes. I
Sorry,
can't hear
I'm
you.
muted. I'm a huge fan of moving energy to resolve things. I think if we're only talking as a couple, we can get stuck in our heads and looping the
Mind.
same arguments or
Hmm.
discussions. And sometimes when we move energy through our bodies, move the sexual energy, move pleasure, we can really shift things that, we weren't resolving just through talking. So
Right.
I think we need both, but it's definitely a very important part of our healing.
And not only shifting energy, Shakti Pai, like we're moving from energy, we also developing witness consciousness through the massage practices as a giver and as a receiver. And we're building that witnessing ability to watch what's happening with our body, numbness, pain, emotion, tears, laughter. Uh, and we
Yeah, we're learning how to
training
hold
ourselves
space,
how to hold
right?
space for that, not
For our mind.
identify, not to be lost in the energy, be more like Shiva Paya, be a witnesser, and then we can apply that in our relationship too. That's where meditation might benefit our daily life.
Mhm.
So you will see ripple effects everywhere in your work, in your parenting, if you are parents, and of course in your relationship with your beloved.
Yeah, amazing. So thank you so much. Just a question, someone says, what course can we do for ourselves? You can head over to livetantraacademy.com and browse there. We have many courses available. So if you don't want to, if you haven't got a partner to do, you can go and have a look at other things. Or set the intention and call someone in because
Yeah.
this is doesn't have to be a lover. It's not actually lovemaking, it's massage. And you could also call somebody in. It's been so much my experience that so many of us are longing for intimacy and connection, and there's somebody out there who's longing for what you're longing for. So there are
Hmm.
different options. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Maria. Thank you for all that you've
Mm.
shared. I love chatting with you. I love the depth and scope of our conversations and all the wisdom that you
Mm.
have to bring. And I'm so looking forward to this next 6-week run of your incredible course. Lots of gratitudes are
Yeah.
coming in here. And for everyone who wants more, we'll pop out an email with all the links if you want to join Maria on this journey. And wherever your journey takes you, wish you all so many blessings.
Thank you so much, Shashi, for this opportunity to share my voice, to share my work. Nice to meet you all. Have a beautiful rest of the day, whatever you do. Thank you, Shashi, for your friendship, for your support. I appreciate you so much. You're such an inspiration for me. Sending so much love and sacredness to every moment of your day.
Thank you,
Yeah.
beloved. Thank you for bringing more love in the world.